has to be said, man. As I've stated in the past, I don't tend to talk much about where I'm staying, because it's never usually that impressive, or where I'm eating. But that was the most nicely presented burger I've had in ages. And the little restaurant was very American, if you like. In my defense, I had pasta yesterday, pizza the day before, and I did make myself a lasagna about a week ago. So, but it was a very, very good burger. Anyway. Good afternoon, friends. So behind me is the Castello. Unfortunately, having hiked up a very, very long, very steep causeway that was challenging on the way up and is going to be sketchy as fuck on the way down, it is in fact locked up. But still, it has a commanding view of Finale Ligure down to the sea. And it was built about 1150 for the Castello family, who were the marquises of Finale at that time, and served as their seat way up until 1602, where they were deposed during the Genovese War. And then it was expanded, and it was a fantastic defensive position until 1715, when it was almost completely destroyed by the Genovese regime, because they wanted to destroy anything that had belonged to the marquises. Before that, really just the main tower, and it was just the front gate tower, really. The gate was between two towers, only one remains. Anyway, I'm about to hike down said sketchy ass path and get some kind of shots of the town from above. Right, so I'm back on the causeway now. There's a very old causeway road with like gutters crossing it to allow rainwater to flow off, that goes right over this hill from Finale Ligure. So Finale Ligure, it's really called Finale Ligure because it's the Ligurian finale. There are quite a few finales around. So Finale Ligure is kind of split into three parts. You have Finalborgo, which is where I'm staying, which is the old town, kind of like a walled Medina. I don't know what the Italian word for Medina is, but a walled Medina. That is absolutely awesome. I love it to death. That's kind of in this valley. You've got Finale Ligure Marina, which is, as the name might suggest, the part along the sea. And in the valley, just on the other side of that hill/mountain, is Finale e Pio, which I think is what's classified as like the main part. But I've got to tell you, Finalborgo, which is where I'm staying, is absolutely awesome. And the reason why I came here, this place is about 100 clicks west of Genoa. I went from Genoa to Nice. I stayed in Nice for a couple of weeks to get my francophone on, and then I came back, and I'm now kind of in this home stretch, because from here I go up to Alessandria, then Milan, then up to Como, and then from Como I'm kind of going in a day and a night to Prague, going from Como to Zurich, and then get the overnight train to Prague, for my last week before flying back to Britain for a while. Anyway, the reason I came to Finale Ligure is because my grandfather used to spend his summers here. And I had never known really, because I was very small. He died nearly 30 years ago. And all I remember is this little sticker, this postal sticker, Signor Green A. Fraser, and the address, his postal address. He used to come for the summer here every year. And he absolutely, positively spent a lot of his time in the old town where I'm staying. So it's really kind of nice to be quite literally walking in his footsteps. Anyway, I'm headed back down the hill now, and then I'll get some into the Basilica and the local museum. Does everyone else see a uterus? So a very, very small cave bear. There's a book I'm very fond of called The Plan of the Cave Bear by Jean Auel. A spectacularly researched. So it's historical fiction set in the Stone Age about 30,000 years ago. And Ayla, who is a Cro-Magnon modern human, is found alone and adopted by Neanderthal clan. It is historical fiction, but an awful lot of it is, as I say, spectacularly well researched. And in that, one of the things is the clan's main totem. They worship animal totems. Their main totem is the cave bear. The story goes 100,000 years before that a holy man went off by himself and everyone thought that he was dead, and he came back wearing the skin of a cave bear and living in caves, wearing animal furs to keep warm, storing food for the winter and not leaving the cave really during the very, very bitter winters. That was why they worshipped the cave bear. A cave bear, which of course now is utterly extinct, were about 3 times the size of the largest bear in the world today. So that skeleton, which is, probably 200 kilograms and about, 6-7 feet long, is tiny in comparison. Anyway, rambling. So yes, as you might expect really, because this location is on the sea, it has a very, very kind climate and has caves in the mountains around absolutely galore. So it's logical to assume that it had been occupied for really quite some time. A lot of this museum deals with the Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, and then the Neolithic periods, because there have been a lot of artifacts and graves found in the caves in the surrounding area. The level of information that I have managed to discern is limited because this isn't a particularly tourist town, and this museum is exclusively in Italian. Still cool though. Into the Roman section now. It's quite a fun depiction of some legionaries overseeing some workmen building a bridge. One thing that the Romans were extremely good at was very advanced building techniques. Yeah. Oh, sidebar. This museum is in a former convent, and you can see kind of like the remains of frescoes and so forth all over the wall. It does remind me slightly of Agnes in Prague. It has a central courtyard, and it does have that same kind of feel. Not quite as old as Agnes, granted. Yeah. So, yes, like that is original. Anyway, this is quite nice. This is a coin collection, and a very nice one, actually, that belongs to Giovanni Andrea Silla, who was born in 1876 and died in 1954. He's the founder of this museum. And when he died, he donated his coin collection, which is fairly extensive, to the museum. And there's a nice system here, actually, where it has a magnifying glass that you can move around to take a closer look. This museum appears to be very much an educational place. It has lots of tangible stuff for kids to pick up an axe or whatever, you know, reproduction. And so lots of kinesthetic, auditory and visual ways of learning. And it's got a couple of like nooks where the entire class can sit down and so forth, but it's nice. I've always liked coins. I have a 1972 British Columbia Canadian silver dollar in my pocket perpetually, and I've given one to two of my best friends as well. Anyway.